Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. It's the eve before Christmas Eve. So here we are. It is the 23rd of December. I don't even know how that happens. It's just December has gone in an absolute flash. And I realize so many people are probably running around today and are busy, but I decided to still do a Miracle Monday because people can watch the replay. And when they're sitting around or watching Christmas, watching Christmas movie, wrapping Christmas presents, I'm getting all tongue-tied here. You know what? They can give it a listen and, you know what? That's always appreciated. You can like and share it. That helps the algorithm so that there's good news out there. People are hearing miracles, which is amazing. And sometimes they try to shadow ban me because I'm talking about miracles. So it would be great if you pass it on and share the word. And you know what? Just encourage somebody. You know what? Because when we share our testimony, there's power in that, just like the Bible says. So I'm jumping on here. I have a tea. The weather in Canada is crazy. So we go from, minus 14, 15, and then it gets mild, and then it's raining. It's raining out there today. So it's just really hard to get in the mood for getting ready for Christmas because the weather is not cooperating. We have snow on the ground here in Canada, but we also have rain today that's coming. And I have tea because I've been fighting this crazy sinus thing. I think because of the weather and the pressure and, it's just crazy. I would just like it to even out, like either stay cold in the snow or, stay warm. That would be nice. But it kind of goes in these waves of being back and forth. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Oh, hi, Stephen Mannering. How are you? It's Wife Mannering here. Happy Monday. So I wanted to jump on. I got a few updates. So I'm working on my website. The girl is putting new products on my website. So I wanted to share some of the stuff because it's cool and exciting. And I had some of the stuff at my book bash. But of course, there was limited people there. And it's going to be on my website soon. So I wanted to share some of the stuff with you. So I got this really cool, look at the shoe bling. Okay, so these are all my Doc Martens. And look at how cute this is. Look at this jewel. How exciting is that? But you know what? I thought this would actually be really super cute also on like your gym workout shoes. Because how many people, I don't know. I like to feel like I'm blinged up when I go to the gym. Because I don't wear running shoes that often except when I go to the gym. So I'm thinking, hey, if I can glam these babies up, look at this. Isn't that exciting? You're pretty cute. We should go out sometime. Okay, I can try to arrange that for you. Okay, let's do it. Woo! Maybe during the Christmas holidays, we can like have a date or something. Woo! Anyway, so these are super cute. And this is going to be shoe bling that's for sale on my website. And then look at the laces, like bling laces. Are you kidding me? Like, look how cute that is. So these are going to be available on my website soon. And I'm so excited. I found the best wholesaler in the world that totally is like reflective of me. So they come in little boxes, but there's clear, there's going to be pink. There's all kinds. I just brought a few here. There's kind of a grayish color. And then this color is kind of like a brownie kind of color. And there's square and rectangular. And there's also smaller ones. So if you're not really, feeling like really out there, you just kind of want to do like a little calm down, not a Connie version, but a calm down Connie version, then you can get the smaller ones that are also super cute. And so I also have this blingy water bottle. So this is kind of the story that started me on the hunt for this amazing product. So my mom got me this water bottle over a year ago for my birthday, and I love it because it looks like diamonds on it. It is so beautiful. So guess what? I'm going to be selling these. Isn't that amazing? Hey, Angel. I think I took this water bottle there. I'm not sure. But anyway, super amazing. So I'm going to be selling these on my website soon also. And then look at this. Like, it's a little purse to put your cell phone in. Hey, girl. Good to see you. But it looks like it's like super cute because it looks like jewelry. So I actually wore this at my book launch because sometimes we have to have our phone handy to take pictures, et cetera, et cetera. But like, how cute is this? Angel, you missed it. Look at the shoe bling I'm going to be selling. Oh, amazing. It's like big fat fat diamond on your shoe. And look at the shoelaces. So these are all my docs, which I know you have a pair of blingy docs because you got Real Talk Kids blingy docs. Woohoo! Talk about limited edition. Anyway, so these are super cute, and this is going to be on my website soon. So I'm just giving you a little preview because, you know what, we haven't got it on my website yet. Hey, Sharon, good to see you. Merry Christmas from Canada. Mwah! I love you. You're my tribe. You're my tribe, girl. So anyway, that is going to be coming up. Didn't get it done before Christmas, but you know what? There's no rush. It's just so amazing. And guess what? Everyone else that's watched Real Talk Kim has seen the no vacancy journals. I actually gave her that. So I found these, and I have limited number of these in stock that will also be on my website. So that's exciting. Merry Christmas. So here I am, my sinus uckies and everything. So I apologize if I'm got the sniffles, but you're not going to catch anything through the internet. So hey, God bless y'all. So I wanted to just jump on here and share Miracle Monday. You know what I mean? Because I never get tired of sharing what God's done for me. And I just find that he just keeps blowing my mind. You know, and I could give you story after story after story. And I want to just keep encouraging people and encourage them in increasing their faith so we can believe for everyday miracles. So I had something to share as I was getting ready for Christmas. I remember my days of going through and being single and how hard that was. And, you know, I got thinking, you know what? We all have a story. And sometimes we don't realize what people are walking through. And what I've learned, especially, you know, since my cancer journey and God touching me in that, it's just really given me a sensitivity and a compassion to hear and feel what people are going through and to pray for them and to intercede for them. Because you know what? When you have lived through some crap and you understand that hurt heart, man, and when God can just mend and bandage that hurt heart, I'm telling you, you just want that for other people. So you just kind of want to inject your faith into other people and encourage them and have them have the miracle that you've experienced. Because like I've said before, God's no respecter of persons. So he's done for me, he can do for you. And guess what? If we're living in the end times, he's saying, greater things are we going to see. Greater things! How exciting is that? I shared with you guys about my piano. You know what? That's just another one of those tokens from heaven that God can do the miraculous. So when we serve Jesus, he can set anything right that we think is impossible. So he can line that up for us. We got dibs on it, and it's ours for the taking. Like I say that song, only believe, only believe, only believe, all things are possible. Only believe. I have no voice. I can't sing. Oh my goodness gracious. So, and I'm going to be getting on my piano, but man, I'm telling you, it has been crazy week here. And of course with this sinus stuff, it's just been crazy. But anyway, here I am. I got to play, a real estate agent dropped by last night with a gift for Christmas, and he's from India. And I got to play a little song on the piano for a few minutes. I don't know very much of it, but that's the only Indian song I knew. So I played that. So anyway, here we go. Happy Monday, everybody. I don't know if you're all ready for Christmas. Are you ready for Christmas, Angel? Because I'm not. Oh, these bracelets is another thing I'm going to be selling on my website. And they come in 8 different colors. Aren't they cute? Oh, they're so cute. I'm eventually going to be working on selling glasses too. So it's going to kind of just be a casual rollout because sometimes things don't happen as fast as we want them to, but that's okay. So I was reminded of a story a few years back when I was first divorced, and it was, no, not at all. No kidding, eh? Good, I'm not the only one. So when I was first divorced, and you know what, it was such a hard season because, you know, I was living a nightmare of a story, and, you know, it was basically a handful of people knew the truth of what I was going through. And of course, Jesus knew the truth, and the truth will always set us free. So it was a difficult season. And it's a difficult season a lot of times for divorce in the church. So it was a rocky road to walk. But you know what? God has just restored and brought back to me 1,000-fold. It's so exciting. And I'm sorry for my man voice here. So in the early years back, oh my goodness gracious, was it 9 years ago? I can't remember. But years ago, when that first happened, my girlfriend had asked me to come to Wales. So when I was 14, I actually went on a mission trip to Wales. And it was with our youth group in Petrolia at the time. And we had taken a pit stop to London, England. And then we had actually drove. There was a van and we took it all the way from London Heathrow Airport to Wales in the countryside. So it was hours and hours of driving. And we were like basically piled on top of each other with our luggage, but we didn't care. We were long. All those religious people want to come and throw out the labels on you. That's right. And I think I am so compassionate because I realize what that feels like. You know, even though I didn't want that label for myself, but God has given me compassion because of what I've walked through. I can understand that and have compassion for other people. So going back, I had decided that, you know, I was really not being well embraced and I needed to do something fun and uplifting for myself. You know, kind of like go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. I needed to have a Christmas like that. So it was about September and my girlfriend from Wales that I had known and met since when I was 14 on the mission trip, she had invited me to come over and we were talking. And it was kind of a really hard season. She had walked through a story, that, you know what, it's actually a movie. And I always say she needs to write a book called Amazing Grace because of what she walked through. And she married the love of her life and they had a wonderful marriage. And he was diagnosed with juvenile Alzheimer's. And you talk about sad. Like I think he was diagnosed when he was 30 years old and he had been in foster care and going back, you know, when research was done, found out that his father actually had the same thing because he actually died in an institution in his mid-30s. So it was a rare thing. And she had called me in September years back and she said, Connie, I feel like you need to come. And I'm like, come to Wales? And she said, yeah, I really do. I feel like you need to come. And, you know, a little while later, she called me and said that her husband that had Alzheimer's, juvenile Alzheimer's, and, you know, it's a tragic story because once he was diagnosed with that, he kind of made decisions. And obviously, when he was in his right mind, he wouldn't have made those decisions. But, you know, having that diagnosis and living with that, he made some decisions that were poor decisions and he wasn't in a good place. But you know what? God bless her. She fasted and prayed every Friday night for years. I mean, God really used her to minister to a lot of people. And, you know, she's such a blessing to so many people. She's actually a farm girl also. And she was born and raised on the farm out in Wales. And her mom and daddy had thousands of sheep. So it was really cool. There was a lot of parallels in our life. And we called ourselves the International Sisters. And, you know, we went back and forth all through the years. So she called and told me in September, she said that they've put him in a hospice and he wasn't doing well. They give him 3 weeks to live. And I was just like, my heart just stopped. It was like, how could this be? You know, like Jeremiah 29:11, God has great plans for us. How could this happen to him, you know? But that's, you know, the devil will never stop. Like I've always said to Madison, the devil will never stop trying to seek, kill, and destroy. Seek, kill, and destroy. So here we were sitting on the precipice of like, oh my goodness, he's gone to hospice. And they're telling Jeanette that, you know, he has 3 weeks to live. And that was in September. And she said, Connie, I really feel that you're to come here at Christmas and you're to pray for him. And I was like, oh my goodness, no pressure. Like, she's telling me he just got admitted into a hospice and he's only going to be, you know, they were giving him 3 weeks to live. So I was like, okay. So I just kind of took that. And a couple days later, I messaged her and I said, do you really want me to come for Christmas? And she said, yeah, I actually really feel that you're supposed to be here. And I was like, okay. So I prayed about it. And I'm like, okay, God, if you want me to go, then you know what? You're going to need to open those doors for me to go. You're going to have to provide the, you know, financial money that I need to do that. And you're going to have to make, you know, everything line up. And if you have a miracle with Tony's name on it, then you'll have him wait there and he will be there when I get there. And that was in September. So the next week I messaged my friend back and I said, you know what? It's lined up. Everything's fallen into place. And I think God wants me to come. So that was that. It was settled. So every week I would get an update. And it was like Tony was just kind of staying the same. He wasn't getting better. He wasn't getting worse. But he was kind of just staying the same. Staying the same. And the hospice, you know, he was on all these different tubes, keeping him alive, keeping him breathing, feeding tubes, all of that, right? And she would go visit him. She was just a little saint because he wasn't actually in the same town because through a series of things I won't get into today, but he was living about 2.5 hours away in Manchester. So fast forwarding, Christmas season came and I flew to Wales. So I flew into London Heathrow. Anybody that's gone to the UK knows that London Heathrow is a crazy busy airport. And a little country bumpkin like me in London Heathrow by herself is always an experience. But I do love shopping in London for 1 or 2 days, going to Harrods, and that's about it. I'm good after that. Wouldn't want to live there. Don't like the hustle and bustle. It's a bit crazy for this girl. So I flew into London and then I took a train from London to Wales. And, oh no, that's not true. That was last time I went with Madison. I actually flew. I had a connecting flight that I almost missed. That's right. Because I was flying to Manchester. And then my girlfriend was picking me up in Manchester. And we were going to go to the hospice that Tony was at. And that was on Christmas Eve. So I took the connecting flight. Yes, been there traveling to Germany. Oh yeah, you'd understand the stress of that. It's like, it's way worse than Atlanta. I didn't think that could be possible, but it is. It's not fun to be stuck at Heathrow. And after that, I never ever got a connecting flight again from there because that was super, super stressful. I actually had to go to a different terminal and I was running the whole entire time. And by the time I got on that flight to Manchester, I think I was wringing wet in sweat. It was like, oh my goodness gracious. So Jeanette picked me up and I'm thinking it was probably about supper time-ish. And you know what? All like from September, October, November, December. And here we are in December. And what she had spoke in September actually was coming to full fruition. I was there. Tony was still alive. Tony was in the hospice because anybody that knows about a hospice, I mean, people are there to make their life comfortable until they die, right? So here we were. She picks me up from the airport and then first stop was the hospice. And let me tell you, you know, especially when you don't see somebody for a very long time, sometimes it's easier to accept when you see somebody kind of regularly and you can see the progression of, you know, something deteriorating. So it's a lot easier to swallow sometimes, but I apologize for my voice. I sound crazy. But I hadn't seen him, you know, in that decline of a progression. So, you know, here we are, we land at the hospice and my girlfriend, she is so beautiful. I'm telling you, there's nothing more beautiful than seeing her serve him and love him regardless of, you know, the poor choices that he might have made towards her. She still loved him. And she was just simply like wonderfully amazing. And so we got there, we go down to his room, and you know, here I see him laying, and it's just like, he's totally not responding to anything. He's got all these tubes hanging out of him. You know, he's like a vegetable, you know, And oh my goodness, like heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking. And my girlfriend, she had taken all these presents to unwrap. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to go for a walk, because I had to digest, what I was seeing. And I'm just praying, and I was like, Lord, I don't know how you're going to use me here, but we need a miracle. We need a miracle. And we need a Christmas miracle. Here it is. It's Christmas Eve, and we're stopping at the hospice and, praying for somebody that's got a death sentence hanging over them, literally. They're totally out of it. They're not responding to anything. They're hooked up to, the bed they have. It's the plug-in so that the mattress is, filled with air so they don't get bed sores and all that stuff. And all the tubes, oh my goodness, tubes hanging out of them, and breathing tubes and feeding tubes. And, he looked like he was just being kept alive, right? Because that's kind of what was happening. And so my girlfriend, God bless her, she has these beautiful gifts that she's brought with them, designer fragrance cologne, and she does her little thing, and she gets a basin out, and she's going to get things ready. She's going to give him a shave, and she's going to make him look wonderful and smell wonderful. And so she's talking to him like life is just totally normal. And I thought, that in itself was such a lesson for me. Like, when we talk about like life and death are in the power of your tongue, it is so good and so real when you actually see that, feet being put to your faith, and you're speaking, and I watched her do it, and I'm listening to her, and she's speaking like everything is normal. She's speaking like they have a great life. And that she's going to get him all gussied up, and he's going to be all spiffed up and smelling good and ready for Christmas. And, she's having this wonderful conversation, and she's, singing along, and she's just such a happy, upbeat person. That's probably why we get along so well. We're just like two peas in a pod. I wish she lived here. Anyway, so I was like, I excused myself because I thought, okay, she needs to have this moment with him. And I can't even imagine how hard that must have been for her. So I went for a walk. And I was walking around this hospice in the hallways, and, it's a very sterile environment. It seemed like a hospital. And it's so sad because, you're bumping into other people visiting, and, the people there are there to die, So there's not a lot of life-giving people that are walking around. And so I was just going up and down the hallways praying. And I got to the nurse's station, and I went by, and everything was super quiet. And by this time they'd dimmed the lights. It's early evening. And so I went by the nurse's station. And as I went by the nurse's station, I noticed that there was a little chapel there. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I looked inside because it was all locked up. And I looked inside, and I saw that there was a piano there. And, there were some chairs, but I'm thinking, wow, it doesn't even look like anyone's been in there forever. So, as I was praying, I was just like, I really felt and I saw a vision of us all praying in there together with Tony in his bed. And so I went back to the desk, and I asked the nurse on call, I said, that room there, I said, is that able to be used? And she said, well, it is, but she said it never really is used. It's kind of was a chapel, but people just don't use it. And I was like, oh, I said, well, how does it work to use it? And she goes, well, if you just let us know, we can book it in, and we can just unlock it and have it ready for you. And I said, okay. I said, well, I would like to book something, and I give the name of the fellow and his room number. And I said, I would like to book it that we can wheel his bed down here and spend some time in there with him, and we could gather around and do some singing and encourage him. And she says, well, I don't know if that's possible. And I said, well, you ask and see, because I said, I'm visualizing it, that it's going to work out great. I said, I'm here from Canada. And I said, my purpose and my mission is get him checked out of here. She probably thinks, ooh, she's gone Looney Tunes. So that was, you have not because you asked not. That's so it, isn't it, Angel? That's so good. Lord, I believe, help my unbelief, like that verse in Mark. You know what I mean? We have to do it. We have to push forward. We have to ask. We have to, say those things as if they were, right? So I said to her, I said, yeah, I'd like you to ask. And I said, I know that that bed has to be plugged in and, you know, he needs the air circulating. And I know we have a short period of time, but I said, we can unplug that bed, push him down the hallway, get him in the chapel, and we can plug it back in. And she said, you know what, you're probably right. She said, I think there's a period of time that it will lose its pressure. But she said, if you're going to go and there are plugs there, and and she said, you'd be able to plug it in the chapel. I said, perfect. So that was that. I thought we're going to come back and we're going to do that in the holidays. So that's exactly what we did. So I went back to my room where my girlfriend was, and she had him, of course, spiffed up. He was all shaved. He was smelling amazing. She had all his gifts she had unwrapped for him because he can't do anything. He's laying there. He can't move. He can't move at all. He's hooked up to everything. Like he's pretty much checked out. Like, you know, they pretty much had him a goner. So, you know, I was talking to him, and I talked to him like he was normal and like he would be responding to me. But, you know, of course he didn't. His eyes are closed and he's non-responsive, but that was okay. You know, we had a prayer with him, and I think we sang some Christmas carols, and, you know, I just said how great it was to see him and I was here from Canada, and I said my mission was going to get you checked out of this place. And we said our goodbyes. So I had a beautiful time with my girlfriend. She had owned a spa for years. Actually, she just nicely retired. Can you imagine that we're at that age? Oh my goodness. So she had a spa for years, and so sweet. She'd been single for so long, and she's always wanting to bless other people. So Christmas Day, when we got up, we were going to her sister's later that day to have Christmas meal together. But she had presents to deliver to some of her patients, or whatever you call them, clients, I guess, not patients, clients. I was just talking about the hospice, so I'm kind of gone off block. So we drove around, and we got to deliver her little presents to, some of her clients, and I got to meet Vital Sasson's, one of his ex-wives, was one of her clients, so that was kind of funny. So we had a beautiful time together. We had celebrated Christmas with her family and all those traditions that were amazing. And then we were booked to go back to the hospice and spend some time there with Tony. And, it's like sometimes we need to visualize the miracle happening, because sometimes the devil tries to creep in and fill us full of unbelief. And because we don't see miracles happen a lot nowadays, I think it's easy for people to have unbelief, right? But that's not how God made me. God did not make me with any unbelief. And when I pray and believe for people, I pray and believe for the miracle, and I see them healed, and I see them walking in their healing. And that's what I had seen with Tony. And I had shared with my girlfriend that, I see him going through physio. I see him being outside and feeling the grass again. And I actually see him going back to the town that you're from. And I see him as the prodigal son going home. And, of course, she's just crying. And she's a little gem. Oh, I gotta speed it up here. I'm sorry I take so long telling this. I don't do notes, so I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. You'll have to forgive me. It's just the way God made me. Okay, so then here we go. We're off to Manchester. We're going to the hospice, and it's through the Christmas holidays, and Jeanette's lovely sister and fiance at the time were going with us. So we all get there, and the anticipation was, we're going to witness a miracle. This is enough, devil. And he's going to get up out of this bed and walk out of this place. And that's what I believed. So we got him, we went down to his room, we unplugged his bed, we wheeled him down the hallway, we plugged the bed back in when we got to the chapel, and we spent hours there that day. And it was the most precious time ever. And I need to send you the link of the church service yesterday, Multiplication of Miracles. So good, girl. I saw you post that, and I think I sent it to myself to remind me to watch it, but you can send it to me again. Thank you, Angel. Oh, commercial break. Because that is what we want to see. You know what? We don't have to live this humdrum life. God has not created us for that. He's created us to witness signs, wonders, and miracles, and we need to pull them down from heaven, and we need to walk in that. 2025 is going to be pivotal. We're going to see it, and they're going to just be like popcorn popping up. Anyway, back to the hospice. We get Tony down there. We get him all settled in the chaplain room, or the chapel room, and with a piano there. And you know what? We just started praying over him. Jeanette is so wonderful. She crawled up into bed and she's massaging his hand and giving him a facial. And you know what? I was able to sit down and play at the piano, and we sang and we worshiped. And you know, there's something about worship that just changes the atmosphere in the heavenlies. And you know what? You want to open the atmosphere, you know, for miracles to happen. You start with worship, and you start with setting your heart right. And as you're worshiping, you know, you visualize that miracle happening. And I'm telling you, it was precious, precious time. And you know what? I prayed and I just declared that, you know, we're going to see him out of here. He's going to be discharged from this hospice, and he is going back to the town in Wales that he came from. God's going to take him back. And we just prayed and believed that. And, you know, keep in mind, he had been in the hospice since September, given 3 weeks, said he was going to make it. I had some scripture verses here, but you know what? You all know them all. I can leave them on my page. I won't take the time because I'm already long-winded here, and my voice is losing it. So we spent, I don't know, it's probably 5 or 6 hours we spent in that room that day. And you know what? It was just, you could just feel the heavens opening. And although Tony didn't make any movement, nothing had changed. All the tubes were hooked up, you know, but there was something that you just felt such a peace and such a presence of the Lord there. It was just so, so, so precious. And I thought, you know what, Lord, I did not come all this way to leave empty-handed. I said, you got to do something for this guy. You know, he was early 40s. Come on, that's not the way it should be, you know. So we had spent the day, and I was actually going back to the airport because I was flying out. And, you know, I left feeling really fulfilled. And my girlfriend is so funny because when I come over there, she's like, she's so sweet, because when I went back the first night when we were there, and I had said, I talked to them at the nurses station. She said, you never. And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, what did you say? And I said, I asked if we could use the chapel and wheel him down there. Flippin' heck. She said, you did not, Connie. And I said, yeah, I did actually. And she said, what did they say? And I said, they said yes. And she says, really? And she says, oh, leave it to you Canadian to make that happen. I said, of course, I'm not, you, like Angel said, you have not because you asked not. And I'm telling you one thing I've found over the years, this girl is not afraid to ask. So, you know what? That all got lined up and it happened, and it was precious, precious time. And we got to sing and worship and pray together. And you know what? Press in and believe for Tony's miracle, and thank God for it. So I flew back from Manchester and came back to Canada. And you know what? It was just a few days later, and Jeanette messaged me and she said, Connie, you're not going to believe it. I was like, oh, please tell me. Please tell me. I am listening. I'm going to believe it. Because you know what? I believe it because God is, we serve an amazing big God, right? I'm telling you, we were all standing in agreement. Not just one of us, all of us that were there. So she says, well, are you sitting down? I said, oh, yes, I'm sitting down. I said, tell me what's happening. Tell me what's happening. And she says, well, you're not going to believe it. She said, they took one of the feeding tubes out today. They can't believe it. They said he's going in the other direction. He's not getting worse. He's getting better. I was like, praise the Lord. I was so excited. Like, how can you not get excited about that? Next week, every week, she was telling me something that had happened and shifted and shifted and shifted. And I'm telling you, those people at the hospice were going like, whoa, their eyes are as big as saucers. I'm sure concerned, like, what's going on? And you know what? I prayed specifically that I said that there was going to be a physiotherapist that would come and visit him, and all this stuff happened. And she's like, I think second week, she's like, they took the other feeding tube out. They took the breathing tube out the third week, you know, and it just the testimonies kept coming in. And then I think it was like about a month later, she says, Connie, you're not going to believe it, but the physiotherapist is here, and they're looking at doing exercises with him. You know, they're wanting to teach him how to eat and swallow and all that, because he'd been on a feeding tube for so long. And I was just like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Like, honestly, exactly. So exciting. You know what? When you see miracles happen in front of you, that's changed me for life. I'm telling you. I talk about it in my book, but Ted Shuttlesworth Sr., years back, probably 13 years ago, was the first time I'd met him. And I'm telling you, blind eyes were opening, deaf ears were opening, tumors were shrinking and falling off. I'm telling you, when you see stuff like that, it changes your life. You cannot argue with a miracle. And I'm telling you, if you didn't believe Jesus was alive, I'm telling you, you're going to believe it after that. When somebody got a death sentence breathing down their neck and they see God turning it around, I'm telling you, that is something to get excited about. Woo-hoo-hoo! So, every week, when I come home in January, every week, first week, feeding tube's gone. Second week, another feeding tube gone. Third week, they took him off the breathing machine. Fourth week, physio's coming in. And I'm like, Jesus, thank you. And, I think it was about the first week of February, she said, Connie, I got him outside. And I got his hands in the grass. And I was just like, thank you, Lord. Like, honestly, can you believe it, how good God is? I'm telling you, he got discharged. He got discharged from that hospice. And God gave him years. And God took him back to the hometown where he was from. And I'm telling you, I could talk forever. I've been almost 40 minutes, and that's too long. But you know what? God gave my girlfriend Jeanette a token. And you know what? God extended his life past. And I'm telling you, the devil was trying to destroy him. But you know what? God had another plan. And sometimes when we're in the middle of our funk and our junk and our stuff, my friend Tasha says, God has a way of turning it around. And I'm telling you, when you see a miracle, you will not stand for anything less. You will pray and believe for the miracle every time, because you've seen God do it. And what he done for me, he can do for you. He did for Tony. He did for Jeanette. I've seen it so many times. And you cannot be discouraged. And I'm just thinking, I got thinking today, I thought, there's people out there in this holiday season, and they need a miracle. They need a breakthrough. And it might be in their body. It might be in their finances. It might be in their marriage. It might be with their children. But you know what? Never be discouraged, because God can do it. God can do it. Matthew 19:26, with man, all things are impossible. With God, nothing is impossible. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, you know what? Don't get stuck on the details of your story and think it's too difficult for him. Because there's nothing that's too difficult for him. And when you see him answering prayer and you see miracles popping up, I think of the story of my daughter, even Madison, and I'll get into detail with that someday, but it's not going to be today. But you know what? I know what I lived through for almost 20 years. And I'm telling you, don't ever stop praying for the miracle. Don't ever stop praying for the miracle, because you know what? It could be knocking at the corner and just there for the taking, and you're that close. And all the devil wants you to do is give in and give up. But you know what? You got to keep pressing in. You got to keep pressing in, and you got to keep believing. And there's a testimony, if you go online and look at the testimony of Delia Knox. And you know what? She was in a wheelchair for over 20 years, and God touched her and healed her. And she walked on stage and she led worship in her high-heeled shoes after being 20 years in a wheelchair. And that's the story I always told my daughter, Madison, is that, you know what? We're not going to give up. We're not going to give up, because she'd always say, well, God healed you of cancer and he's not doing anything with me. And I was like, no. What he did for me, he can do for you. And same with anybody out there. any circumstance out there. My dad shared a testimony of his dad growing up and how a old tractor with metal wheels ran over and ran up my grandfather's leg, and he said it was probably broken when he came inside. My dad wasn't even born at the time. And he went up and he stayed in prayer. And he come down. I think it was that night, several hours later, he come downstairs and he was walking and it was fine. And my dad said that when he died, those marks were still on his leg from where that tractor tried to eat him up and say goodbye to his life. But you know what? God has great plans for us, and never be discouraged, because there is nothing too impossible for him. And I just encourage y'all in this Christmas season, you know, I wanted to share about Tony's miracle and breakthrough because it's so important to believe for the miracle. You know what? That I honestly, I feel like a spokesperson it's kind of like my mission is to just inject you with Jesus and joy and miracles and testimonies, because God is still in that business. You know, and he wants to blow our minds with a testimony. And then he wants us to share and give it to people and brag on him. Because you know what? There's power in that testimony. And it could change someone's life. You know, someone that's got a life that they're downtrodden because they got a diagnosis, they're in an addiction, they're in a bad marriage, whatever it may be. God can turn it around, and what he done for me, he'll do for you. And just like I say, remember, little isn't much when God is in it. And like I always say, when he's in it, we're in it to win it. Because you know what? I read the back of the book and we won. You know what? And we just need to brag on Jesus every chance we get. I'm sorry I'm long-winded and my voice is gone, but I wanted to encourage you today that don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. Know that God has great plans for you, like Jeremiah 29:11. And you know what? Nothing is too difficult for him. It don't matter what the doctor says. It don't matter what the doctor says. 13 years ago, the doctor told me that if I went for a second opinion, that I might not be alive in 3 months. It don't matter what the doctor says. You got to know what Dr. Jesus says and what his plans for your life are. And I am here today able to speak to you and be a voice box for him. That God's amazing and he's got great plans for you. And you can be on here giving your testimony just like me. And wouldn't that be amazing? Anyway, I'm going to sign off and I'm going to love you and leave you. And you know what? Hopefully next week I'll be on playing my piano with my husband. I want to get him to come on and jump on and read the Christmas story. And you know what? Maybe we'll jump on Christmas Day. I have no idea. We're just going to fly by the seat of our pants. But all I want to know is I want to bless you guys. And I just want to pray that, you know what? If you're believing for a miracle, know that God can do it. And don't give up. Don't give up. You keep thanking him and you keep speaking life. And like I said, life and death are in the power of your tongue. Be careful what you speak. Don't speak death. Don't speak curses. Don't receive a diagnosis. You know what? Just say, thank you, Jesus, for touching and healing me. And just walk in that miracle. Oh, thank you, Angel. I love you too, girl. I'm going to sign off, though, because I am losing my voice. So I love you guys. Merry Christmas. And a Happy New Year. Another year older. A new one's just begun. I can't sing. I've lost my voice. I gotta stop. Anyway, you guys are amazing. I want to thank you for joining. And remember, if you can, like and share, because you know what? That helps the algorithms and it gets more of Jesus out there. Because you know what? They're trying to block people like me because they don't always like what we're saying. So you know what? Like and share. That would be super awesome. And you know what? If there's anybody you can share it with to just encourage them, send it along to them. And that all helps out and it gets the word out. And you know what? We love Jesus and we just want to brag on Jesus. Merry Christmas, beautiful God. Oh, Merry Christmas, Lana. We gotta get together sometime. Maybe in the new year we're gonna have to plan something, Lana. A bunch of us girls. That would be super fun. The local yokels. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you and say Merry Christmas, and we will talk to you soon. Maybe Maddie and I will jump on here tomorrow for a minute. We got a busy day of lined up to go and get Christmas shopping done, etc., as everyone is busy this time of year. But remember, take time to love people and to listen to people. You know what I mean? Because sometimes they just need a hug, a smile. I dropped Madison off at the Goodwill this morning, and I saw people in there today, and I'm just loving on them, you know, because people get so excited to see you when you are a radiant person and you are just, you know, oozing Jesus. Right? Just be Jesus with skin on. Love people, because you know what? You don't know what they're walking through. And you know what? To be honest, some people are going through some real crap. And it's hard. It's hard. They need someone to stand in the gap for them and love them and pray for them and just, you know, just let them know someone's there. So I encourage you, if you can be that, you know, for someone, you know what? That's what Christmas is all about. Be Jesus with skin on, and remember that Jesus is the reason for the season, and that's why we celebrate. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you. Hugs from Canada.